So you are sold on the fact that you should drastically decrease your alcohol intake, if not eliminate it altogether. But you're wondering, what am I gonna do in a social situation when I'm hanging out with friends, when I wanna celebrate something, if I don't have alcohol to celebrate with? Well, my friend, you are asking the exact right question, which is why today I'm gonna share with you my favorite alcohol substitutes. This is exactly what I drink instead of alcohol. Now, having a substitute is extremely important. A recent study in Japan showed that when people committed to staying alcohol-free are given an alternative to drink, they are 71% more likely to stay alcohol-free. Having a substitute to your favorite drink equals sustainability. If you just decide to stop drinking alcohol and you don't substitute it with anything, you don't replace it with anything, you are 71% less likely to achieve your goals. This is why having a substitute is so important for your journey. And that's why I'm sharing with you my favorite substitutes today. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. My alcohol-free lifestyle all started when I was about 22, 23 years old. I was earning my MBA at the University of Denver. I remember being at my mentor's house. During my MBA program, we were able to select someone to mentor us, to help customize our program and help us get a job that we really want to when we graduated. Well, I selected this amazing individual named Peter. And I did because I studied accounting and film during undergrad and was doing my MBA to go into the film industry. Hence why I'm in this YouTube video today. I love film, I love video. It's been a passion of mine forever. Along with Peter really helping me figure out what I wanted to do with my life, he had another extremely important influence on me and at the right time in my life. He introduced me to kombucha. I never had kombucha before, and I knew nothing about it. What happened was, on at least a quarterly basis, we would get together. I would get together with Peter, and he was mentoring a couple other individuals as well. So the group of us would get together and we'd either go somewhere or he'd have us over at his house. And Peter had also been a big advocate of alcohol-free living. So he was getting into kombucha to make a similar change in his life. When I learned about kombucha, I learned that it had less than 0.5% of alcohol. My favorite kombucha, by the way, is made by Synergy. And it really was the perfect beverage to introduce into my life. I partied a lot my junior and senior year of college, and I went and started doing my MBA immediately after I graduated. So I was still partying pretty significantly. So the fact that when he invited us over to his house, he had some beer, but he shared with us. He's like, hey, you can have a beer if you want, or I'm gonna have a kombucha. Would you like one? And I'm like, that sounds great. This guy is really cool. He's in the film industry. You know, he is my mentor and he's offering me a kombucha. Yes, I'm gonna have a kombucha. I remember that first night I had raspberry chia seed kombucha, which was very interesting too because I hadn't really ever had chia seeds before. At least I hadn't ever really seen them and they were in the kombucha. Well, I loved the kombucha. I ended up having a second one and after that I was sold. I started integrating kombucha into my life. And kombucha, for the next decade, became a staple to helping me transition from drinking alcohol to being alcohol-free. Kombucha does, depending on the brand, depending on the batch, have alcohol in it, but it is negligible. Most kombuchas say they have less than 0.5% alcohol content. This is important depending on your relationship with alcohol. Maybe you are very dependent on it. Maybe you are an alcoholic. I've heard from alcoholics they can't have kombucha because of that. Even when you're watching this video, because maybe you're pregnant. Some people don't have kombucha during pregnancy because trace amounts of alcohol could affect the baby. So when we're looking at kombucha, we're looking at it as a substitute for alcohol. But there's still a little bit of alcohol in this. Depending on your relationship with alcohol and the season of your life, you may want to be cautious with kombucha. Some things to note with kombucha. Be careful with the sugar content. Because great, we're drinking kombucha now instead of alcohol, but if there's a ton of sugar in the kombucha that you are drinking, then you're hurting yourself in a different way. Which is why I like to partake in kombuchas that don't have any added sugar. Or just have low added sugar. Like a couple of grams I'm okay with. But if I'm seeing the entire sugar content is added, I don't like that. My rule is less than 4 grams of added sugar in the entire portion. So this is extremely important to note. Well, I thank Peter for introducing me to kombucha at the right time in my life. Fast forward about a decade later, sparkling water entered my life. It was around the time of December 2022 when I finished the Honolulu Marathon. And it was the worst marathon I've ever ran. It wasn't the slowest. My first marathon I ever ran was the slowest, took me over 6 hours, but it was the worst. And it was the worst because I had ran a 4.5-hour marathon at a mile above sea level about 9 months before I ran the Honolulu Marathon. I ran at sea level and it took me over 5 hours. Well, what happened was I had gained a bunch of weight. I weighed around 195 pounds when I ran the Honolulu Marathon. And at the time, I was drinking a lot less. I'm a decade from having kombucha introduced into my life. I started drinking sparkling water around 2019 or 2020, and I really liked the bubbles. To this day, sparkling water may be my favorite alternative or substitute to drinking alcohol. I prefer it to drinking anything. Now, I love water as well, but sparkling water is something about it that I love. After I ran that race, I wanted to lose at least 30 pounds, and I wanted to do it quickly because I wanted to run my first 50-mile ultra in September 2023. So part of that was figuring out ways to cut calories. Kombucha, even though it's very good for you, and I actually forgot to mention that the probiotics make it extremely powerful for your body. The probiotics in kombucha help with your digestion, help with keeping yourself healthy, which if you drink kombucha or not, you really should integrate probiotics into your life. And guess what? There are actually sparkling water now that have probiotics integrated because of how powerful probiotics are. Well, regardless of that, I was drinking a lot of kombucha, 32 to 48 ounces a day, which from a health perspective, I've heard, just based on some of the founders of some of these kombucha companies, that they drink a gallon or more per day and they have amazing health benefits from it. Well, if you're trying to cut weight and you're trying to do it quickly, like in 90 days or less, well, first of all, I have my healthy living guide with my 3 pillars of healthy living: movement, tracking, and accountability. I highly recommend you pick that up. It is linked in the description and in the show notes if you're listening to this as a podcast. And it really is the 3 pillars I use to lose 30 plus pounds in 90 days or less. And it really, big part of that was tracking my caloric intake. Well, sparkling water doesn't have calories in it. And if it does, you'll see it on there. There's some sparkling waters that have calories, and I don't like those sparkling waters. I like the ones that don't have calories in it. I like the purest sparkling water. It's just sparkling water. It doesn't have natural flavors or any of this stuff. And that is the sparkling water I recommend to you. Now, I still like to go and pick up some of my favorite sparkling water flavors. I love ginger and I love strawberry basil and black cherry, stuff like that. But natural flavors also aren't necessarily the healthiest for you. It's a nice way of saying something that isn't very healthy for you is in the drink or substance. Regardless, when I look at sparkling water, there are 0 calories. But Johnny, I've seen sparkling waters where there's like 10 or 15 calories. Well, that's negligible, but you can see on the sparkling water how many calories are in it. I started integrating sparkling water. I decreased my kombucha intake. I actually started mixing kombucha with sparkling water, and that's how I would drink it. I cut my kombucha intake from 32 to 40 ounces a day to less than 16 ounces a day. Now, I only drink about 1 kombucha a week. I drink 16 to 32 ounces of kombucha per week. I drink a lot of sparkling water though, and this may be my favorite alcohol substitute that I'm sharing with you today. Now, my favorite thing about sparkling water are the bubbles. By the way, if you're waiting for me to say soda as an alternative to drinking alcohol, I'm not going to. Sorry, soda is not on the list. But if you are looking for a substitute to soda, kombucha and sparkling water are amazing substitutes. My favorite thing about soda, by the way, I didn't drink soda very much as a kid. My parents kept me away from it, but I definitely had a time of my life where I really liked Sprite and root beer. But my favorite part about Sprite and root beer wasn't actually the taste. Is the bubbles. I have tasted Sprite, root beer, Pepsi, and Coke in the last few years, and oh my gosh, there is so much sugar. It's too sweet for me. The bubbles are amazing though. And that's why sparkling water is so amazing, because you get the bubbles without the sugar. Fast forward a few more months, and this is probably 2023, and I really started getting into herbal tea. And specifically, as a ritual replacement to alcohol. This is another part of this whole process of unentangling ourselves with alcohol. It's not just how we feel. It's not just the taste. It's not just the bubbles. It's the ritual of it. And that's really where herbal tea has helped me so much. The ritual of sitting down and having a drink with another person, with my fiance, with my friends. Well, tea is a great way to do that. And herbal tea specifically. I really like chamomile and sleepy time. It's another great way to promote sleep. Chamomile and sleepy time are extremely powerful and natural sleep aids that, along with the ritual of sitting down and having a drink with someone, that takes some time to brew. Literally warm up the water. You take either your tea bag or maybe you have loose leaf tea, and you prepare that loose leaf tea in a pot, or maybe you have one of those little things that you put the loose leaf tea in and then you pour the water over. And then you may like your tea at different strengths. Maybe one of your friends likes it steeped for 2 minutes, another for 4 minutes, another doesn't care. There's a ritual to this. I never really drank every night, but I drink tea every night. It's an amazing ritual to connect with others by drinking tea. I highly recommend you integrate some sort of ritual replacement, like drinking herbal tea, into your life. Fast forward about another year and a half. I was alcohol-free for about 4 or 5 months. I had just finished my first 100K race and I won it. And I was trying to make a decision if I was going to introduce alcohol back into my life. 4 or 5 months without it, wasn't really missing it, but I was thinking ahead going into the holidays. And during the holidays, I typically like to have a nice beer. I really like beer, love the taste of beer, and I wanted something. So I decided that one day, you know what, I'm gonna go look for some NA beer. So I went to the biggest liquor store that I know nearby. Huge, massive, it's like a Costco basically for liquor. And I asked, where's your NA beer section? I followed the guy to the back right corner. They had a decent selection. Now the place is huge, and maybe this section took up a 30 feet by however tall the refrigerator was. But it was the largest NA beer selection I'd ever seen. And right next to it, there's an NA spirits section and a bit of NA wine. So I got my phone out and I started doing some research. What are the best NA beers that exist? Like, what's the best NA IPA? And I came up with a brand called Athletic. And I was like, okay, you know what, I'll try it. So I bought a couple of 6-packs, went back home, tried it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I know how I'm not going to drink any alcohol through the holidays. I'm just going to bring NA beer to every event and drink that. NA beer is the cherry on top of everything I've shared with you today. Everything else I've shared actually has health benefits. Kombucha, we have probiotics. Sparkling water, it's hydrating. Herbal tea, depending on what herbal tea you have, there are health benefits. NA beer, there really aren't any health benefits that I know of, other than I guess there's some carbs in there that you can burn. This is a neutral substitute you can celebrate with. If you're going to drink beer every week, drink NA beer every week. I take NA beer to social situations. People can't even tell you're not drinking regular beer. This is a great way to reward yourself, to celebrate, and still get that taste of beer. These are my 4 substitutes that I recommend to anyone who's curious about being alcohol-free, or anyone who wants the next step now that you've made that decision that, hey, alcohol, I know it's bad, but how can I really help myself to achieve my goal of staying away from alcohol? By having a substitute, you are 71% more likely to stay alcohol-free. And really, what I love about all these substitutes is they do 3 things for me. 1, they allow me to stay social. Even when I was introduced to kombucha, it was in a social setting. Every week, I play D&D with my fiance and my best friends. And the one thing that we all drink kombucha, we kick off every session by opening a big bottle of kombucha and sharing it. We close every session with herbal tea. This is our ritual to stay social. I go to a party, bring a 6-pack of NA beer. I play poker, bring a 6-pack of NA beer. I also carry a 12-pack of sparkling water to these social engagements. So by having these substitutes, I get to stay social. I also get to enjoy the ritual. Oh, I love the sound of opening up a sparkling water, of opening up an NA beer. That just amazing. And I love holding it in a social situation. The ritual, this is so important. When you're looking to have sustainable change in your life, it is important to know that we build habits or rituals. So we need to replace the bad habit with a new habit, with a good habit, with a positive habit to our life. And that's what these substitutes empower me to do. Number 3, I get to nourish, not numb. Kombucha, probiotics, good for gut health. Antioxidants and polyphenols. The tea base and fermentation process produce these compounds which help protect cells from damage and reduce inflammation. Support metabolism, liver and heart markers. Good alternative to sugary drinks. Then we go into sparkling water. Hydration, it's just as hydrating as water. Fullness and appetite. Some studies suggest carbonated water can increase fullness more than still water, which might help moderate caloric intake or snacking. Digestive aid in some cases. For individuals with mild constipation or indigestion, sparkling water has sometimes been shown to ease symptoms like stomach pain or irregular bowel movements. Alcohol substitute. Herbal tea. Relaxation, stress, and sleep. Some herbal teas are popular for calming or sleep-promoting effects. Digestive support, antioxidant, cardiovascular, metabolic support. And a beer, lower calories and fewer alcohol-related harms. Nourish your body, not numb your body. Integrate one of these 4 or another healthy alternative into your life today. And I'll see you in the next episode.